story time. So, before I started my business, outbound, main gate, heading to Electron. Before I started my business, when I was driving tanker trucks for Love's travel stops, I had a instance in my existence where I don't know how to say it, but it was like a realization, an epiphany, a come to Jesus type meeting, like realization, like in my experience, this is gonna be really bumpy because I'm on a pit road. So I was in a position where I was trying to sell my Puyallup house, and I was trying to buy a duplex at the same time. And I got put in this position where the regional manager at Love's completely had he had some sort of power trip going on that day, and it affected my life in a crazy way. Like, he called me up, cussed me out, and was like, your job's on the line. And then that same day I found out my wife was pregnant with my second kid, and I'm like, if I lose my job, I'm not gonna be able to buy this duplex. This is kind of like our dream, was to buy a duplex, live in one half, rent the other side, so we can become more financially stable. And then all of a sudden, my life felt like it got flipped upside down. Inbound Bridgegate 2 times. And it felt like my life was getting flipped upside down. And I remember driving from Ellensburg back to Seattle, going to the rack. But when I was on I-90, I remember just bawling my eyes out, thinking, how the F can this happen to me? How can this be happening? I feel like I'm doing everything I was supposed to be doing in life, yet I feel like I'm getting nowhere in life. You know, we were living paycheck to paycheck back then. I was making really good money, you know, compared to the average American. The average American makes 30 to 50, right? A year. Now, 30 to 50 now, a year. I was making 75. And so I felt like I was king of the world, you know, because I'm like, I'm hearing okay, you're making $25,000 more than the average male American. How are you still living paycheck to paycheck if you're how the F is this happening? Where's all the money going? You know? And life just felt like it was completely out of control. And that's when I was like, I gotta change something. Something's gotta break. Something's gotta give. And I started just trying to learn, you know? I was like, man, my plan is not working. I've been on this plan for 5-6 years. I've been married for 2-3 years or something like that. And my plan is not working 3 years in, and I don't see any growth, economic growth. We're not really advancing to the level I thought we would be advancing at. What the heck's the problem here? And that's when I read about Dave Ramsey, and I'm not a big book reader, okay? I don't have time to read books when I'm freaking driving on the highway for 12, 13, 14 hours a day. I don't have time. So I downloaded the audiobook, Total Money Makeover. I swear to you, I listened to that book 50 to 75 times. No exaggeration. I literally memorized it. I still remember the first line of that book. As lost as a ball in tall weeds, this is exactly how I felt. Like, I had it memorized. Like, I listened to that audiobook so many times over. And as soon as the, because I rented it from the library, the audiobook called Overdrive, that's the app. Inbound, Fish Culver, 2 times. And I thought you said after. Is there another one after you? Channel 12? Is that guy fucking retarded? Coming through the fish culvert 2 times through the fish culvert. Can't hear me? Get a better radio. It's okay to miss every now and then a call out, but there's a couple of important ones that you just don't want to miss. Amen to that. So, sorry about the interruption, guys. I'm working here, so I can only, I'll tell you the story as I'm going, but my primary objective is work. The story is secondary. Okay, so I memorized this book, right? Because I was so desperate. Like, I literally lost my shit on the freeway. Like, I'm driving a tanker down the road, crying as a grown man. Like, why isn't my life where I want to be? Like, in my head, I'm thinking, what the is my problem? Like, I'm trying so hard. I'm making more than anybody I know. How am I not where I want to be? And so I'm like, my plan is not working. I need to find a different plan. It needs to be opposite of what the hell everybody else is doing, because everybody else is on the same plan. Get into debt up to your eyeballs. Get into debt up to your eyeballs. Finance everything. Spend as much as you make, and I was like, this plan is not working for me. I need to change. And I'm like, I don't care what people think of me at this point. I literally don't care. Inbound 198 road.
And any trucks in line that are getting 198, go ahead and bypass anybody that's getting 388.
So, I just got to the point where I'm like, something's got to give. I got to change my plan. I got to do what's not normal, because what's normal is not working the way I want it to. And when you got people that can afford a $500,000 car, and you can't even afford a $20,000 car, something's wrong here. Like, and a lot of people don't like Andrew Tate and what he's saying, but what he said, I'll never forget what he said. He's like, when you pull up to a gas station and you see a Lambo there, you don't think the guy, graduated college. You think drug dealer, scammer, like, how the F did this guy get this money? Bingo, because the normal people will never accomplish that. And I'm like, I don't want to live a normal existence. I want to have something that's better than normal. And I was just like, something's got to give. I'm doing something wrong. Somebody knows something I don't know. What? I got to outsource. Got to look outside my box. So, bingo. I got on the Dave Ramsey plan, cut up my credit card, my wife and I, and then we just started saving like crazy, right? And saving, looking back, I can tell you right now, saving is the hardest way to get out of what the normal life is. It really is. What you need to do is become an earner. That's what you need to do. To get out of being a normal person, you gotta become an earner. And what that means is what you consider a normal workday. If you want to get out of what's normal, that's half of a workday. What's normal to most people, 8 hours, 10 hours, that's a normal workday. That is a half a workday. If you want to become extremely successful and have tons of money and have not a normal existence, you got to be able to work a lot more than that. Because 8 hours is not going to get you out of that rut that everybody else is in. If you listen to any extremely successful person, they will tell you you cannot sleep 8 hours a day, 10 hours a day, because the person that is willing to sleep 4 or 5 hours a day is literally getting 4 to 5 hours more done per day than you are, because they have more time to do it. If you talk to like one of those professional athletes, they're training way more than you, and the effect of that is compound, because over the span of 1 year, if you say one person's trained 2,000 hours and you're the guy that's trained consistently 2 hours or an hour longer than everybody else, by the end of the year, you've trained double or triple or quadruple what the normal person has trained. And that is the advantage. That is where you become extremely ahead of everybody else. And so, you know, I did it the hardest way possible, saving my way out of normality, right? That is the hardest way. But it is the most guaranteed way. Like, it literally is the most guaranteed way. You can save enough money to buy a business or buy your way out of it, right? But at the end of the day, if you're saving to consume, all it is procrastinated spending. That's all it is. So what you need to do is become a higher earner. Earn more money. How do you earn more money? Provide more value, right? Take more responsibility. Outbound 198 road. So that's when I bought my dump truck. I was still working 60, 70 hours a week for Big Rigs Tanker. And then I just got to the point where I'm like, okay, you know what? I talked to my buddy who was self-employed. He seemed like he was making it happen, you know, with his carpet cleaning business. And his advice was, why don't you just buy an old dump truck and work on it while you're doing your job, and you know, once it's ready, then you can start your business. And part of me would, you know, looking back, if I could go out of my perspective and think as if I was him talking to me, he might have been thinking, you know what, I'll tell him to buy one, a cheap one, and work on it. That way he doesn't get in over his head, because he may not even like it, he may not even succeed, he may just give up. And that'll be the you know, the least hardest to get out of, maybe. You know, because he had been running a business for quite some time at that point. And you know, I had never ran a business full time. Like, I had tried to start a business, you know, and I never really got it off the ground because I ended up not liking it. Outbound fish culvert, outbound fish culvert. And so, you know, I worked on the truck every single day, just about, after work. fish culvert.
Two coming out right behind your end.
Oh, copy that. Yeah, so I literally put in 100-hour weeks. Literally 100-hour weeks. No exaggeration. Like, if you go back to the playlist, Dump Truck History playlist, and you look at those videos, you will literally see me working midnight, up to midnight when I gotta go to work the next day and haul fuel. Like, I was not sleeping 8 hours. There's no way I was sleeping 8 hours. I was sleeping 4 hours. You know? I was doing everything possible. And did my normal job suffer? By the end of the 7 months, it had started to suffer a little bit, right? And when you work 100 hours a week, it is going to take a toll on you. There is no question about that. 100%. It is going to take a toll on you. But when you're in your 20s and 30s and 40s, you can still get it done. You can still get done, probably even into your 50s and 60s, honestly. I don't see why a person can't get it done. Like, you know what your limits are. You got to push those limits. You know? And, you know, I know where my limits are because I pushed them. Outbound Bridgegate a couple times. And so I basically, you know, I got to the point where I was, you know, I had the truck almost ready. And then next thing you know, my boss fired me. He knew I was going to start a business. He knew, I mean, I'm sure he was watching the videos. Maybe he didn't, maybe he did. Or maybe he was getting his information from somebody else, you know, about me running my business. And I'm pretty sure he was a ninja watcher because he's one of those guys that micromanages everything. So I would be surprised if he wasn't watching and just never said anything. That's probably what he was doing, you know. And, you know, he seen that I was there. And he's like, you know what? I'm going to fire him. Because he needs that kick in the butt. That's the way I want to look at this situation. Maybe he was being a dick and he's like, I'm gonna watch this guy fall on his face. Maybe that's what he was thinking. But I refuse to look at it that way. I refuse to have that mindset, that victim mindset. I will have the positive mindset 1,000,000% of the time because I have the choice to choose that mindset. And everybody has the ability to choose their own mindset and their own outlook. You can either look at a situation one of two ways. You can look at it in a positive mindset or in a negative mindset. You know, just like when you go to the gym, you know, if some guy's wearing a muscle shirt, somebody can say, oh, he's showing off. If he wears a sweatshirt, they can say, oh, he's insecure. Everybody's going to have an opinion regardless. There's always going to be somebody that looks at it and plays the devil's advocate and looks at it the opposite of the way you want to look at it. And that is it is good to know the two ways of looking at something. And the best way to look at something is the way that gives you the most power, the way that gives you the most accountability and responsibility in that situation. And I forced myself to look at it like, you knew I was going to make it. You gave me the kick I needed. And looking back, bingo, you know, that helped me. I took that as fuel. Fuel for the dump truck. That was some free diesel right there. You know, so you got to take accountability. And, you know, a lot of you guys, you think, oh, poor me, I have this that's holding me back, I have this that's holding me back, and this that's holding me back. And you can come up with a million things that will hold you back. But if you find a successful person with an even worse story than you, they took that same experience and they used it as free diesel. They took that fuel and they burnt it up. You know, the same water, when you boil a potato, it softens the potato. That same water, when you boil an egg, it hardens the egg. That's literally what it comes down to. How do you choose? What position do you choose to put your mind into? My dad, complete drug addict. My mom, complete drug addict. Right? And I'm not saying this to shame my parents, right? My dad lives in a trailer, you know, a camper, just broke down, a shed, a shack, whatever you want to call it. You know, my mom bounces from house to house from people that, you know, she couch surfs. And you have me and my brother, right? And I'm not saying this to talk shit about my brother. I love my brother. But you take us both. We were both raised in the same family. And somebody will say, oh, I'm where I'm at because of them. I chose this life because that's how they did it. And then you got somebody else who says, well, I chose this life for the same reason, but I chose to flip it. I'm not going to do that because I don't want that. I'm not going to be a drug addict because my parents were drug addicts. And I see what that did to them. Or then you got the person that says, oh, I'm going to be a drug addict because my parents were drug addicts. My parents were abusive, so I got to be abusive. You can use your history to enable and become an excuse to be a piece of shit all you want. Or you can use it to empower yourself. That's why some of the most successful people in the world, they always start from the worst positions in life. But they just use that story to propel them to the success and the greatness they are looking for. Every superhero, look at Batman, for example. His freaking parents died. I know it's make-believe, but his parents died, right? They got shot. What did he do? Boom. You know? It always starts out with the tragedy and overcoming that tragedy, using that tragedy to transform your life, you know? And you can use that tragedy to hold you down as long as you want. But when you talk to somebody like me that has made our tragedy into power, if you talk to somebody like me and you try and tell me that story and use it as a victim, use it as a reason to be a victim, in my mind, I may not call you out on it, but in my mind, I'm calling bullshit every time. I'm calling bullshit every fucking time. You may not like the way I'm putting this right now. I got a lot of people that listen to my videos and stuff. Brian, you don't need to swear to get this point across. You don't need to talk like that. I need to talk like that because this world has become so sensitive to the way people are tiptoeing around everybody's emotions. I am so sick of people not calling a spade a spade. I don't want to be around you anymore. If you're trying to sugarcoat something, I don't want to be around you anymore. If you are telling me You don't want to hear my opinion because it's too harsh? I don't want to be around you anymore. Because what you want me to do is you want me to commit a lie of omission. When you are trying to sugarcoat something, you are literally lying from omission. If you feel a certain way, you need to convey it that certain way. If you dumb it down or, trying to be kind to somebody, that is not what Jesus did. You think you're doing what Jesus did? That is not what Jesus did. If you go back and you actually read the Bible, or if you're Mormon and you read the Book of Mormon, you go back and read the Old Testament. If you don't believe in the New Testament or, whatever, if you go read the Quran or whatever religion you're in. I'm a Christian. I go to the LDS church. If you go back and actually read the context and you pray about it, you want to know the real attributes? When Jesus seen something that was wrong, he called it out. He called it out. He did not sugarcoat it. When he went to the temple and they were selling stuff and they were being thieves and stuff, he called it out. Not only did he call it out, he was so aggressive when he did it. He flipped the tables on them. He flipped the tables. Read it like it says it. Don't sugarcoat it. He didn't go in and say, hey guys, try not to hurt your feelings, but you're doing this the wrong way. The temple is not for this. Let's try and do this a different way. That's not what he did. What he did was he went in and he flipped the tables. You need to call it what it is. And I'm getting so pissed at people sugarcoating everything these days. I got a lot of family members that try and sugarcoat everything. They try to be as politically correct as possible. And I'm sick of it. I'm absolutely sick of it. If you have an opinion, you need to make it known or you're lying from omission. And if you lie that way, what other ways are you lying? If you're trying to be, if you want me to be kind to somebody and tell them a dumbed down way or tell them a sensitive way, then how are you lying to me? How are you not telling me the truth? That's what I want to know. If you're telling me to tell somebody in a soft way, then how are you lying to me? Because I know if you want me to lie to somebody, then you're lying to me. How are you telling me in a kind way that I'm being stupid? Or, if straight up, if I'm fat, you need to call me fat. The world needs to go back to the way it was in America, where you call a spade a spade. If you're fat, you're fat. You don't call it, oh, you put on a couple pounds. You need to just call it like you call it. Because at the end of the day, if you tell somebody, hey man, you put on a couple pounds, or, hey man, you're fat, you gained way too much weight, you're obese, you're being unhealthy. At the end of the day, what is more likely to change a person? And I honestly believe if you do not sugarcoat something, you are more likely to change a person. You're more likely to change a person. Now, let's dial it back a notch, one notch. Sometimes you don't need to comment anything. But that's not 99% of the time. 99% of the time, you need to say something. anyways, guys, I just got on this whole rant. Needed to vent a little bit to myself, to you guys, to my future generations, if they ever watch these videos or if they get taken down or whatever. You know, maybe to my family if they ever watch this. That's the honest truth. That's 100% what I believe. And I'll never take that back. You know, maybe I lack the balls to tell you straight to your face, but I am going to strive to tell people my opinion 100% of the time what my opinion is. I'm not going to try and sugarcoat it for some people, because that's not telling the truth. It's literally not telling the truth, because it's a lie of omittance. If you don't tell the full truth, you're lying. And I don't want to be a liar. You know, this whole, if you don't have something nice to say, don't say something at all. You know what? I don't 100% agree with that statement. I used to think that was a good statement. I don't think it's a good statement anymore. You know why? Because when you don't tell people the reality, the cold, hard reality, the truth of the matter, people fail to self-realize, they fail to self-reflect, and they never make changes. They can't grow. It's just like when a baby bird is in a nest. The parent does not just, you know, grab them by the wings and fly them out and show them how to fly. He doesn't do that. He pushes them out of the nest. You're gonna fly or die. That's the way the world really works. You fly or die. Sugarcoating is dead. Being politically correct is dead to me. No more. No more. If you don't want to watch my content or you don't agree, then watch something else. I'm not begging you to watch my stuff. I'm not begging you to watch my content. I don't even know why I do this content, honestly. I think it's just a way for me to clear my mind, clear my thoughts. Maybe my kids will watch this one day. I think that'll be good for them. Outbound Gatekeepers bypass. You know, I feel like if you want to get ahead in life, if you stick around those people that are telling you the soft responses, that, oh, maybe you put on a little bit of weight, it's okay, be comfortable, you know, be happy with yourself. If you stick around those people, you're going to be a fucking loser the rest of your life. You need to get around people that tell you the truth as it is. The cold, hard reality. And if you can't find anybody around you that's willing to tell you the fucking truth, then you need to look in the goddamn mirror and tell it to yourself. That's literally what you need to do. You need to look in the mirror and say, you know what? I'm a failure. That's what I did back when I was working for Loves. I looked at myself and I self-reflected, which people normally don't self-reflect, but I did. I managed to self-reflect. I had a breakdown. It was so tough to come to the realization I wasn't getting anywhere. And then you also have to look in the mirror and say, you know what? Nothing is going to happen immediately. you have to have patience. Heading down the hill at Duck Pond Hill. Patience is another thing. You have to have patience because nothing changes immediately. You gotta be happy for the small achievements, the small steps, the discipline. I literally dropped 60 pounds since last November. It did not happen overnight, right? It may seem like it's been overnight to you guys, like, damn, Brian, how would you lose all that weight? It did not happen overnight. It's been a struggle every flipping day. But it only happened because I looked in the mirror and I said, you're failing. You're becoming a fat slob. How are you going to take care of your kids? How are you going to take care of your grandkids? You are not being accountable for what you put in your own body. That's literally what I had to say to myself in the mirror. Did I come to that realization all at once? No, that's not how it started for me. It started for me because I watched a tape video where he's like, you know what, most of you guys, you don't even know what you're capable of. You know, see if you're a real man. See if you can do 600 push-ups. It started with that challenge, right? And I'm like, well, 600 is out of the question for me. It wasn't 600. I think it was 500. 500 is what he said. And I'm like, there's no way I can do 500. Let me see what I can do though. And I'll never forget, I did like less than 10 push-ups. It was like, by the time I got to the 10th push-up, I was literally shaking. And I was 33 years old, shaking on the 10th push-up. Shaking. That was a realization, like, damn, Brian, you let yourself go. You let yourself go. Not only for you, your kids and your grandkids, your wife, you're failing them all. You're gonna die of some heart attack or obesity or diabetes. Nobody told me that. Nobody wants to say, Brian, you're getting fat, dude. Nobody wants to tell you the realization. You have to look in the mirror and notice that yourself. Because nobody wants to tell you that these days. We have a culture of not telling anybody the reality. We're so afraid of offending people's feelings. That's where we are nowadays. You can't say anything because you're afraid of offending somebody. Fuck them. That's where we need to be. If you want progress, you gotta tell them like it is. That's the only way you have progress, is when you actually are honest. Don't sugarcoat it anymore. Just be honest with yourself. Look in the mirror and say, you know what? I'm fat. I'm overweight. I need to change my life. I'm the one that's responsible for this. And then be patient with yourself. It's not going to happen overnight. You know? But what you do have to do is you have to become disciplined enough. And it takes discipline. Motivation is not going to do it for you. Once you get done watching this video, 30 minutes later, you're going to forget all about it. You may be fired up right now, but you're going to forget about it. Because that's what happened to me. That's what happens to everybody. Your brain is so short-term on that. Motivation does not work. You have to have discipline. And discipline is doing something you don't want to do, but you have to do it because it's your responsibility. It's your duty. A lot of men lack duty and responsibility these days. Outbound, main gate, heading to Electron. So, I started working out. I started watching my diet. Started drinking more water. I get this question all the time. Brian, what's your secret? What's your secret? There ain't no damn secret. Everybody knows what it takes to lose weight. Everybody. What it really comes down to is, though, is most people are not patient enough, and they have no discipline. They want to make the excuse of, oh, the way to lose weight, it's got to be this secret because I can't seem to do it. I cannot discipline myself enough to just do it, so there's got to be something else. Let me make up an excuse. There's got to be a secret. What's the secret? There's no fucking secret. It's discipline. You got to do it even when you don't want to do it. That's the same way when I started my business. I did not want to work on that dump truck when it was snowing out, when it was raining out, when I had to crawl on the gravel on my back. You think I wanted to do that? You think I had fun doing that? You think I enjoyed doing that? I did not enjoy doing that. When it took me 8 hours to change those tires. When I was sitting there struggling on my weekend, the whole day, trying to mount some tires with these small tire irons. You think I wanted to do that? You think that was fun? It wasn't fun. It had to get done. It's the same thing with the men on the Titanic. You think they wanted to die? No. You think when they stormed the beaches of Normandy, they wanted to die on the beach? No. It's duty, it's responsibility, it's discipline. That's where we're at. If you can't look in the mirror and tell yourself the hard truth, nobody's gonna tell you it these days. So you need to do it yourself. And take this as your first warning to yourself. This is the sign that you've been asking for. This is a secret that you've always been searching for. Look in the mirror and tell yourself the truth. And that's the end of it.